A very good morning to you and welcome to KRQE News this morning. I'm Matt Morrow.
Good morning. I'm Elizabeth Alvarez. It is April 7th, Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. All your news coming up in just a bit. But first, we'll take a look at the weather.
Yeah, meteorologist Kristen Van Dyke is here. Kristen, what are we in store for today?
Good morning. Another cool day. It'll be similar to yesterday with that breeze keeping things a little chilly if you're not in the sunshine. This morning starting off with partly cloudy skies here in the metro area, and then it gets cloudier as you head out east, and we finish off with this disturbance that's bringing in a few showers down toward Roswell and a little bit of leftover snow up in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. No shower activity here in Albuquerque, and we will see more sunshine for the afternoon. Highs today getting into the mid-60s, and then we'll top out in the 60s across most of eastern New Mexico too. A huge warm up on the way over the next few days. I'll have the details on that coming up in just a few minutes.
UNM police are investigating a crash that appears to be the result of speeding. It happened about 2 o'clock this morning on Redondo, just off of Central.
UNM police who are investigating the crash on the scene tell us the driver was going down Yale past Central, was speeding, and then crashed into the wall on Redondo. We know one man was rushed to the hospital. We do not know how he is doing this morning. Investigators have not said if alcohol was a factor, but as you can see, a car, that SUV, is totaled. Well, now the big story of this morning, hundreds, maybe even 1,000 people could show up tonight at the Albuquerque City Council meeting, all to demand changes with APD.
So the City Council is making changes to ensure everyone's safety at tonight's meeting. Council President Ken Sanchez says they're expecting nearly 1,000 people to show up. The council has largely cleared its agenda, leaving mostly issues regarding APD and the Police Oversight Commission to make time for public comment. Sanchez says there are 2 overflow rooms prepared for the crowd and a plan in place in case things turn ugly. This follows several demonstrations against APD officer-involved shootings, especially the controversial shooting of James Boyd, the homeless man that was shot to death.
We have a tactical plan in place that would protect the public. It would also protect members of the council and our staff. They've been working on this now for the last week, and we will be prepared.
The council meeting starts at 5 p.m. and if necessary, counselors could decide to extend the meeting to run past the 10:30 cutoff. The string of protests against APD has sparked talks about a public forum. It's been the talk of several city councilors. They're trying to work out the details, like where it would be held and how long citizens would be able to talk. Again, people will be allowed to talk at tonight's city council meeting, but like all other council meetings, public comment is limited to 2 minutes per person. You know, there has been one demonstration in actual support of police.
And hundreds of people showed up to it, holding signs and cheering for police at APD's headquarters downtown. The rally was yesterday. It brought together APD officers, retired officers, families, and private citizens, all sending a message of solidarity. Some brought homemade signs while others picked theirs up at the rally, and a lot of them acknowledge imperfections within the Albuquerque Police Department, but they say people should not blame the department as a whole.
Law enforcement is often a thankless job. They do so much for us to keep us safe, and I just felt it was important that they know that even with all this negative publicity, there's still those who around that know that they're outstanding men and women.
Well, those in opposition to APD stayed relatively quiet this weekend, but they are talking about having a silent sit-in at the mayor's office. They've not said when that could happen. Well, make sure to stay right here with KRQE for the latest on the protests and the trouble facing APD. We'll be at the City Council meeting tonight. You can always get the latest right here on air and anytime at krqe.com. At 5:04 later today, we could find out more about a police shooting in Torrance County from this weekend.
One suspect was shot and hospitalized. State police is now investigating the incident that happened 10 miles north of Mountain Air. According to the Torrance County Sheriff, the suspect was driving a suspicious vehicle Saturday night when the sheriff says the suspect shot at one of his deputies and at a cop from Estancia. Sheriff Heath White says 2 officers shot back, hitting the suspect.
Deputies were responding to an active burglary in progress. They were on scene and processing the scene when they took active fire upon their vehicle as they were driving away.
No word this morning on the suspect's condition. And we're still waiting on results from the Office of the Medical Investigator on a deadly shooting from over the weekend that happened at a shooting range on the west side of Albuquerque. APD says a man was found dead in the parking lot of the range on Saturday. They say he had a bullet wound to the chest, but it is still unclear whether it might have been self-inflicted. Police say someone walking to their car found the man.
$1 billion, that is right, $1 billion with a B. It's going to be used to clean up abandoned uranium mines on the Navajo Nation. The money is part of a settlement the federal government reached with the Anadarko Petroleum Corporation. It owns thousands of contaminated mines across the country. One of them, the uranium mill in Shiprock on the Navajo Nation. It's been blamed for causing people on the reservation to get sick and even die. Navajos say the $1 billion will only be enough money to clean up 10% of the tribe's abandoned mines. Well, a new federal audit finding says a Los Alamos and Sandia national labs have failed to monitor nuclear weapons. According to a story in Sunday's Albuquerque Journal, the Department of Energy Inspector General's report says neither lab could consistently locate drawings and components for nuclear weapons. The report says findings like this could shake the confidence of the NNSA if safeguards and information are not available. Kind of disturbing. And fallout from the very first atomic bomb detonation at the Trinity Site right here in New Mexico, it continues just shy of 70 years after the blast. Santa Fe, New Mexican says dozens of people protested outside White Sands Missile Range, demanding to be recognized and paid for decades of being sick and for others dying. They say radiation from the atomic bomb blast contaminated their water, their crops, and their livestock. A study of the Manhattan Project records by the Centers for Disease Control says folks were not warned of the detonation and were never evacuated or advised to worry about their food or water. Elizabeth.
An Albuquerque woman is in San Diego this morning waiting to be reunited with her family. You see, her family was stranded at sea and had to be rescued yesterday by the Navy.
I am going to be probably between crying and jumping up and down. I'm really excited for that moment.
Soraya English is from Albuquerque. Her sister Charlotte Kaufman and her husband and their 2 kids were on board a 36-foot sailboat when the boat experienced problems hundreds of miles west of Cabo San Lucas. On top of that, the couple's 1-year-old was sick with a fever and rash. The couple had sent a distress signal out, and that is when the Navy stepped in. A former Albuquerque resident and F-16 crew chief at Kirtland Air Force Base was part of the rescue effort. 30-year-old Sean Woodward is a combat rescue flight engineer.
Even with Afghanistan, all the stuff he's done, he's never called me and said, Dad, I'm going out on a rough one.
Luckily, the mission was a success. The family is now on board a Navy ship and should arrive to land on Tuesday. The baby also is doing much better. Thank goodness they were rescued just in time.